this episode, Makoto and Shiki finally reach Ratsgard, and they're on their way to the academy when they run into a group of students that are harassing a maid. Now, Makoto, he typically wouldn't get involved with this. He would just keep on moving on, but he notices in that maid's eyes that she's kind of dead inside, and he's wondering why does a young girl just look so like giving up on life? Like he doubts that the four men are going to really do anything to her, but for some reason she's just not there. So, being a good guy like he is, he steps forward and telling them to leave her alone with his writing. And no one listens because, well, you didn't say anything, so they couldn't hear you. So he looks at Shiki and he tells him to, like, hey, you deal with this. And Shiki just tells the guys to buzz off before he kills them. And that's just like, that's going from 0 to 1,000, dude. Like, all you're supposed to do is just tell him, like, hey, go away. Don't tell him, like, hey, if you don't leave, I'm going to kill you. But Shiki, he just goes for the extreme. And at that, the students turn and start insulting Shiki and Makoto. And at that, Shiki's like, okay, can I kill him, please? I guess he's gotten severely influenced by Mio and Tomoe that any insult to him and the young master deserves to be instantly killed. So Makoto, he rings him back in, tell him to leave or just use some magic to buzz him off. So Shiki, he does some earth magic to blast four students to the air, saving the girl. Now Makoto tells the girl like, "Hey, you don't owe us anything. I just saw that you're in trouble, just wanted help, so you're free to go." The girl, feeling very appreciative, tells Makoto and Shiki like, "Hey, if you ever want to grab some hot pot, you should come over to this place I work at. It's a little down the road. It's great. I'll repay you there." And with that, she heads off to work. Now Makoto, still seeing that the earth magic's still in place, he goes forward and dispels it, leaving the four men hanging in the air with their wind magic. Now, it looks like they're going to eventually run out of mana and fall to their death and die, so he tells Shiki to save them. Shiki reluctantly goes ahead and brings them down to the ground safely, where they then get some eventual glares from the four young men, but they eventually scamper off. Now, with that completed, Makoto and Shiki are making their way to the academy, where Makoto just so happens to learn from Shiki that he's actually not going there to become a student. He's there to go become a lecturer, at least according to the documents that they got from Rembrandt. As Makoto quickly looks them over, it clearly states that he's going there to become a teacher. And we get a great little scene showing back to the Rembrandt company where Rembrandt and his aide are going into the paperwork. The aide is a bit of an older dude and can't really read well with his glasses, so instead of grabbing the form that they recommend him to come as a student, they recommend him to come as a lecturer. So instead of learning how to do magic, he's now getting to go teach how to do magic. So good luck, my boy. So with that, Makoto and Shiki, they don't have much of a choice. They can't change anything now, so they continue their way on to the academy, where they meet with an aide. Now, they ask the aide if by chance there's any clerical positions that they could do instead of just a teaching one, and the aide just has at them. He just unloads on that everyone's trying to get through the teaching process to become a clerical aide instead of an actual teacher. Like, how could people do this? And he just kind of insults them and demeans them for going through this process. And Shiki, from what we saw in the last time, he doesn't take people insulting him or the young master well. So when this aide starts to unload on them, he just has at the aide, just like, whether you worm. And it looks like he has a whole on murderous intent going on. Makoto's able to stop him, but not before the aide receives some kind of damage from Shiki. Now, Makoto apologizes for what Shiki did, and he says, like, hey, we'll just go with the teaching job, okay? And the aide is like, how can you think that this is fine? How can you want to continue? And before this can escalate any further, the head of the department steps in and apologizes for aide's unprofessionalism, that the aide should not have said such things to the applicants, even if Makoto is in the wrong for asking about a different position. At this, Shiki steps up, says like, hey, he was just asking. It should be understandable if he's also looking for other opportunities. At that, she nods her head and goes forward and takes a look at Makoto's paperwork. Seeing that he's here for the general tactics position, she informs Makoto that this position you can take a ratio of practical and written, depending on what you want to do. Now at this, Shiki steps forward and starts going to the paperwork with her, where she notices that Makoto was also recommended by the Rembrandt company, where she compliments that he must be actually very accomplished for them to recommend him. Now at that, Shiki points to a practical only section, which seems to completely shock and worry the head administrator, because very few people have ever passed this test. So Makoto is going to try his hand at the most difficult practical exam there is. Now, maybe he could have taken an exam where it was half written and half practical, but Shiki, I guess, wanted his master to just demonstrate his abilities to the full force that he knows he could, and no better way to do it than doing a test that almost nobody passes. So, Well done, Shiki, for wanting to demonstrate your master's abilities. Although Makoto doesn't seem to be all that thrilled with it. Now, from here, we move on to the practical examination, where he's in a room that he meets up with four other applicants. Now, the other applicants, it's a human, an elf, and a beastman. Now, the point of this examination is to capture three magical balls. The colors that you could catch are going to be red, blue, and yellow. And these colors represent physical, magic, and range. Now, once you have completed the task, you are to ring a bell saying that, hey, I've completed it all, I got all three, and the examination ends. Or you can use the feather saying you give up and you want to quit the examination. Now, they have 3 days to complete this examination. They'll be taking the exams alone in separate areas of a forest, so they won't be coming in contact with anyone. They'll have to survive on their own, just on their own hands and what they can catch and survive off of, and that's all that they got. And with that, the examination starts. Now, Makoto immediately, as soon as he gets into the assessment area, he uses his key and he finds where the examinees are. It looks like they're a good distance away from him. There's some water over there. There's a lot of game. So it looks like he's actually in paradise, at least compared to when he came down to this world initially in the wastelands. He at least has some food and water that he can at least survive off of. So he's good to go there. Now, looking around, he immediately sees one of the balls. It's a red one coming towards him, and realizing that, hey, this is going to be an easy test if they're just that easy to find. So he runs after it and he punches it to capture the ball, and upon contact, it shatters. Now, realizing that he is using way too much strength for this test, he decreases his strength and he tries this again with his fist, and again the ball just shatters. Getting fed up with the physical ones, he looks and he sees that there's a ranged one flying in the air not that far away. So he takes out an arrow, fires at it, and it goes right through the ball as well, shattering it completely. Becoming a little bit frustrated now, he then sees that there's a magical ball that's floating right on by him. He decides to try his luck at taking that out, and he casts a fireball at it. And upon contact, the ball explodes again. Makoto at this point, he's a little frustrated, wanting to just burn down the whole environment. Like, this is pretty much an impossible task. Like, every time he touches them with anything, they just explode. But realizing he might be just using a little bit too much force, because that's the thing with Makoto, he does have unbearing strength when it comes to things like this. So he dampens his powers again, he changes his tactics up, and this time when he takes aim at the ranged ball, he uses just the feather to hit it, and upon coming in contact, it looks like it's going to fall to the ground, but for some reason it just teleports. Now, I don't know why it teleports, but supposedly I'm thinking that it's doing that to throw you off your game into another location, which Makoto is able to easily adjust to, and fire another arrow that just briefly touches it, causing the ball just to fall to the ground. Now, realizing what he has to do, he uses his abilities to go after the balls, and it's not necessarily 100% easy, because he spends a whole day just gathering the blue ones. He goes to sleep at night with a barrier that will just shock anybody that comes close. And when he wakes up the next day, he sees that he's surrounded by a whole bunch of monsters. Not thinking too much of it, he just picks them up and tosses them away. Well done on you, Makoto, for just being a complete menace that monsters don't want to deal with. Now, once he wakes up, he also notices that one of the applicants is already gone, that they must have completed the assessment. Not thinking too much about it, he goes back and he tries his hand at capturing more of the magical balls. Now, he tries to keep hitting it, and it seems to be doing okay, but it takes a while before he's actually able to hit one of the yellow ones and bring it home at the end of the day. Now, with that, he boxes it and heads back to his place to stay, but he realizes that one of the other applicants has also already left as well. Strange, he thought, but they must have also completed another one, so that's two that are already gone. Now, as he's going to sleep, he realizes that someone has just entered into the exam domain. He's like, weird that someone is coming in, but he doesn't think about too much about it, and he just goes to sleep. Now, when he wakes up the next day, again, he finds that there's a bunch of monsters around him that he just gets rid of, but also there seems to be a person that's just laying by. Makoto doesn't think about too much, because he just assumes, like, hey, with all the other monsters, he just is shocked, so he's just going to throw them all away. But the person apparently is just faking it and goes for the attack on Makoto. Unfortunately, Makoto is too slow, so the man is able to bring his dagger down at Makoto. Makoto is able to catch it with his hand and stop the man from bringing it any further, and actually is able to break it in his grip, throwing the man backwards. Completely shocking the man that Makoto was able to break his dagger. He now really wants him dead. but he's unable to move because Makoto is using one of his abilities to freeze him in place. And Makoto tells him like, "Hey, by the way, just to tell you, this poison, I'm immune to it, so it's not going to work on me. Now tell me who sent you here." Now at this, the assassin tells him, "Hey, even if I want to tell you, I don't know. I just work for the guild that gives me these assignments, so I have no idea who this guy is." Makoto, accepting this, runs forward to the guy and just kicks him away to somewhere I have no idea. Now with that guy gone, Makoto turns back to the task at hand and goes after the final ball he has to get, which is the physical ball. Now he uses just pinky finger, just a slight touch, but still it just shatters. Now realizing that his just enhanced body is just too much for these physical items, he takes out his fishing knife that is just a plain old knife, nothing special about it, wasn't made by the dwarfs, and he tries to use the back of the blade on the physical items, and that seems to finally get the red ball for Makoto. With all three colors in his hands, he rings the bell to signal that he's done with the assessment and returns back to the examination room. Now, upon arriving, everybody's there, unhappy, and looks like they didn't have a good time at it. I'm guessing that had given up because either the examination was too hard for them, which is why that first person left on the first day, or because of that assassin that probably took out the other two. Now, the examinee comes over and asks if Makoto gave up like the others, and Makoto tells him, "No, I got the three balls right here for you," and he shows a ball of each color, which completely shocks the examinee because he tells Makoto, like, typically, what people do is they just get three balls of the exact same color because that's already a hard enough assessment to do. No one else ever has got one of each of the three colors before. He's the first one in examination history to complete the exam like that, which just completely shocks the rest of the applicants in the room as well. So, with that, Makoto has also stood out in more ways than he had planned, but hey, he has the job now at least, so there's that. Now with the exam concluded, Makoto returns to the inn with Shiki, where they decide to hit that Hot Pocket place in the morning before he has to start his teaching roles. Now there's a few other things to mention of note here. The examinee that was shocked that Makoto was able to actually complete the examination by getting three different balls. He goes to the bar and he unloads all of this to a lady next to him that no one was supposed to pass the assessment this time, but somehow somebody did it by doing it the most strangest way possible. And he just tells her, and the lady's a little bit mysterious, so I'm looking forward to see who she is in the future because it's indicating that she's an important person, at least from what we see so far. Also, we learned that Mio and Tomoe are finally on their journeys. Mio on her journey to go learn how to become a cook, and Tomoe to investigate the battleground that Makoto had just let the giant lake at. And she wants to figure out exactly what caused that giant lake and what's going on. So, we got everybody out on their own separate missions here. Now, my overall thoughts for the episode is I thought it was a pretty good episode. I enjoy us getting back to Makoto. I like that we had the other two where we got to see the heroes, see how they develop, what their personalities are, what we think about their ways of going about being heroes, clashing with Makoto. So I'm looking forward to seeing how those three actually come together. But I'm glad we got back to the core of the story of following Makoto around because I like Makoto more than those other two, which we should because this is his show. So I thought they did a good job with this episode. But I'm kind of surprised we went in the teacher route. I didn't really see that coming in for him. So I'm looking forward to see how he handles that in the next episode with his students. Also, those four students that he reprimanded for going after that waitress. I'm curious to see how that will bite him back in the butt later on. And who is that mysterious figure at the end of the episode that the practical examiner was meeting with? I'm curious to see how she plays into all of this. But we'll have to see next time. What did you guys think? What was your favorite part of the episode? What did you think of Makoto and Shiki going through the academy and Makoto just completely destroying that test? Just curious what you guys got to say. Leave a comment down below. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.